Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am so glad that you decided to click on this video. So in this video today, I am going to talk about 5 more of the best books you've never heard of. I did a video just like this like over a year ago, maybe just about a year ago, talking about some of my favorite books that just did not get any hype when they came out, or it was a long time ago or something, but are just not nearly as popular as they should be given how good they are. So I thought I would do it again, some more books that you've probably never read, let alone heard of, and I just want to make sure they get out there. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first book I want to talk about is The Hop by Diana Clark. This came out in 2022 and I loved it from the get-go. I think I ended up getting this as an ARC, and then of course I had to buy the physical copy once it came out because I loved it so much. So this is written in a series of interviews following a woman from New Zealand named Kate, and starting when she was just a teenager up until much later. So she is from a very poor family. She lives with a single mother, and her mother is very focused on money. They don't have much of it, and I don't think they ever explicitly say it, but I'm pretty sure her mother is a sex worker, which kind of gives Kate this idea that why not do the same? So she and her best friend end up starting like a kissing lessons at their school, and that's kind of where that begins. Now, over time, Kate finds herself moving to the US, into Nevada, where she can be a sex worker legally, and she becomes one of the most famous sex workers at the famous Hop brothel. She quickly becomes very, very successful at this. This is not spoilers, these are all part of the synopsis. But when 10 sex workers from a nearby area are found dead, it takes a toll on the whole community and kind of goes into how we balance sexual liberation with not being taken advantage of. And I don't know if I'm saying that exactly correctly, but this book is just incredible. It is long, but it breezes by. I feel like it's like 500 pages, but some of the pages have like this much text because they're written as like interviews from different people in Kate, who becomes someone named Lady in her life. So this is just a book that I really don't know anybody that's read if I didn't push it on them. So this is one that just blew me away, and if that sounds at all interesting to you, I highly recommend it. The next book you should be reading is Kitchens of the Great Midwest by J. Ryan Straddle. This book is by the author of 2 other books that I loved, The Lager Queen of Minnesota, which I actually discussed in my last video like this, and Saturday Night at the Lakeside Supper Club, which just came out last year. So I have loved all 3 of these books that he's written, and they all kind of take place around a similar kind of theme, like food and beverage industry in Wisconsin, Minnesota, like in the upper Midwest. So I think this one is just so great. This was his debut, and it's just fantastic. So the main story is about a man named Lars whose wife leaves him, and he ends up raising his baby daughter Ava alone. While Ava's growing up, Lars kind of gives her this love of food that he has as well. She has really good palate and just becomes this super famous, legendary chef, you know, all over the place. Now the rest of the book is kind of told based on a dish. So each chapter has a different dish for like the title, and the different stories are kind of seemingly unrelated throughout the book, but they all tie back to Ava and Lars. So this is just a really, really fun book. It's got a lot of heart, and it's really so nice to just see how much passion Midwesterners have for their culture and their food, and like I just really, really loved this. I would never call this like a short story collection because it's definitely not, but the way that they all are kind of seemingly separate, but they all kind of conjoin at the end, and it's all kind of cohesive, makes it really special, really unique, and I just love this author's writing and the stories that he tells. So you can feel how passionate he is about the Midwest and his home. So I just highly recommend this one. It is just a delight to read. The next book I think you should be reading is So Happy for You by Celia Lasky. This is one that shockingly has a 3.4 stars on Goodreads, which is just absurd to me because I think this book is fantastic. So these two friends, Robin and Ellie, have been best friends since childhood. They've grown up together and they've kind of, in adulthood, gone in a little bit of different directions. Robin has come out as a lesbian. Ellie is so traditional in her views on marriage and the traditions surrounding it. And so when Ellie gets engaged and asks Robin to be her maid of honor, she is reluctant. She's not super into it. She has, you know, grown up just to be a very different person and very different from Ellie's other friends. So she's not excited about this, but she ends up doing it. And in this sort of world, there are some crazy, crazy marriage rituals that have kind of started happening. This book is really a satire on like the wedding industry as a whole, in addition to just like the crazy traditions that people have thought up over time. And, you know, it gets a little kooky crazy, but it's because it is a satire. I just have to read you the first line of this book because it is just perfection. If you want to know the story of how my best friend and I tried to kill each other, I should probably start with the night she asked me to be her maid of honor. Brilliant. I love that so much. It just, how does that not hook you in? I mean, if I haven't sold you on this book just by that, then I don't know if I'm going to be able to sell you on it. So this is such a great book. I think books with like toxic female friendships are so entertaining. We love the queer rep. Just, this book is so good and definitely needs to be read by more people. The next book you need to read is Forget Me Not by Allison Derrick. I didn't read this super long time ago, so you may have heard me speak about it in the recent past, but this book is a queer young adult love story, and it just was so good. I am not a huge young adult reader, but this one just stole my heart and broke it into a million pieces and put them back together, and I just adored this. So this follows two high school girls, Stevie and Nora. They are both closeted and live in a small town where they absolutely cannot come out safely. Their families will not be okay with it. They just can't tell anyone. They also don't even really want to hang out in public because it will start rumors and then they won't even be able to like be friends. It's really, really sad. And I'm sure that this is the case for many people in smaller towns and maybe even not in smaller towns, just in families and communities that just do not accept homosexuality, which is, I can't believe we're still dealing with this in 2024. But anyways, they are seniors in high school and they have been saving money because they have this plan that as soon as they graduate, they're going to go to California and leave it all behind and be together. But they live in a really rural area, so they often hang out like out in the woods together. So one day they're hanging out and Stevie has a terrible fall, hits her head, and of course, there's questions about like why was Nora with her when they're not even friends. And then when Stevie wakes up in the hospital, she has no memory of the last 2 years, which includes their entire relationship, the fact that she's even come to terms with her sexuality as a lesbian, all their plans for moving to California. Like, she barely even knows who Nora is. Now, for these two to find each other to begin with was a really hard thing, you know, because they end up like lying to their parents about where they are and working weird hours so they can spend time together. And Nora ends up like dating a guy because she doesn't remember what happened to her before she hit her head. So Nora basically has to make her fall in love with her again and make her see what they had, and she's basically starting from scratch. So this book is just so sweet and heartbreaking and beautiful. And again, not a YA reader, but this one just absolutely stole my heart. I cannot recommend it enough. If you're not a YA reader, I still recommend this because, like I said, I'm not one either, and this one got me. And the last book on this list for now is Catch Us When We Fall by Juliet Fay. This is a book that I really don't know why I didn't get more hype. It is sort of in the same kind of vein as like Jodi Picoult. A lot of drama, but like not unnecessarily. I actually don't know anyone else personally that had read this. So I really hope that some of you will give this a try if you enjoy this kind of story. It follows a woman named Cass who has been on her own since she was 18, didn't come from a great household. She was dating a man named Ben who they were in love but kind of toxic to each other. They did a lot of drinking in their 20s and kind of were just on a not great track. So Ben passes away and Cass finds herself pregnant and homeless, and she does not know where to turn. They had been together since high school, so she kind of knew Ben's family. So she ends up reaching out to his brother Scott, who is a third baseman for the Boston Red Sox. And he does not want to deal with this at all, but she's pregnant with his brother's baby. So over time, they sort of find a way to help each other, and it goes from there. It's really a dark story. It shows just the absolute devastation of alcoholism and addiction, and also shows that like it's never too late to figure things out and to change course. And I just loved this so much. It was one of those books that I honestly didn't expect to like as much as I did. And I just don't know why this one wasn't popular. On Goodreads, it has over 4.5 stars. It doesn't have a ton of ratings, I think around 2,000, but that's pretty good. I mean, this one was just unputdownable, and the character development was so fantastic. You just felt for these people, and there's one kind of weird thing in this, but it's not weird. You think it's gonna be weird, but it's not. Trust me on this. I don't want to say anything else because it might be a spoiler, but I feel like you might be able to figure it out, but it doesn't matter. You gotta read this. You just gotta. Oh, it's so good. I'm wanting to go back and read all of these books again now that I'm talking about them. So there you go, 5 more books that you've never heard of that you need to read. I love making this kind of list. I love sharing books that I loved with others, hence why I made this channel. You can take my word for it, all of these books are worth reading. If any of them sound up your alley, I highly encourage reading it. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, I would love it if you would, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!